Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice little 5-game NBA slate. There is an earlier game, but it is not included on this main DraftKings slate, so to keep that in mind. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? I really do appreciate it. We have a pretty extensive injury report today, but we do have a pretty good slate, so I think it's definitely playable. The value is a little bit slim though, so that is a concern, but we do have some good value plays available, and we have guys that could open up with the injury situations. So let's go ahead and start with the Warriors. With Paul out, Sarek is questionable, and Moody and Payton are out. For the Hawks, Bay is doubtful. For the Bulls, White is questionable, Craig is questionable, Levine and Williams remain out. For the Mavs, Jones Jr. is questionable, Kyrie is doubtful, Lively is doubtful, and Exum is out. For the Lakers, LeBron and Davis are both questionable, and then Vanderbilt, Reddish, and Vincent are out. For the Knicks, Anunoby is questionable, and Randall, Grimes, and Robinson are out. For the Cavs, Allen is questionable, and Thompson is out. And for the Spurs, Johnson is questionable, and Collins are out. Doubtful. Excuse me there. Okay, so that's definitely has some potential to open up some options if guys get ruled out that are questionable, namely Keldon Johnson, Jarrett Allen, Anunoby, LeBron and Davis, and then Kyrie as well as White for the Bulls. So we do have a lot of possible things there, but let's look at our top plays overall. So we do have two core plays. We had two other guys that are very close to being third and fourth one, but DiVincenzo for the Knicks is in a great spot here. He's going to play over 35 minutes, and if Anunoby is out, then that would even give him a bigger boost. He's been pretty solid in the 3 games since Randall's gone down, and even against a tougher opponent, he's done well. And this is a favorable matchup here, regardless of LeBron or Davis play or not. The Lakers don't play a lot of great defense, and so this gives him a lot of potential today. Looking at Kaminga, he's had 8 straight games over 5x, and this is a fantastic matchup for him against Atlanta. It should be an up-tempo game, and he should have a lot of opportunity to have a big, solid game here. He had 46 fantasy points the last time he played them as well, and he's been over 40 quite a few times lately. Then we're going to look at Luka. Now, Luka's obviously super expensive today and somewhat hard to roster, but he has an absolutely monster ceiling. He's been playing very well when he's played, though he's missed a couple games with injury, but he looks like he'll be back today. It is a little concerning to use him when he's coming off injury, but I do think he has a lot of upside here, but his price obviously super expensive. Then we're going to look at DeMar DeRozan for the Bulls. Now, the Bulls are in a good matchup here at Sacramento, which should be an up-tempo game. DeRozan does have a high ceiling. His floor has been a little bit inconsistent lately, but I still think he's a viable option. If he can score a double 20 real points and get some peripheral stats, he'll be fine. And he's nicely priced for this favorable matchup. I'm going to say the same thing for Nikola Vucevic, though he's a little bit more risky than DeRozan. I wouldn't say using both of these guys is the best way to go today, but I think one of them will definitely go over 6x today because they do have that high ceiling, but they tend to seem to go back and forth. So right now, I do like DeRozan slightly better, but just because of the matchup. But I do think both have some viability. Looking at Desanmu for the Bulls, he has played very well recently with Levine out, and he's been starting and getting more minutes as a result and getting good fantasy output. Now he is somewhat scoring dependent, but if we look at his stats, he's shooting the ball well, and he's getting double figure points. His price has come up a little bit, but he's still a viable option here as he's been over 27 fantasy points in 4 straight games, and he's still a little bit underpriced considering that. Looking at some other options here, we have Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. Now he's got a favorable matchup against the Lakers, who he should be able to dominate. He's also played very well since Randall's been out, as his usage has bumped up and his total shots per game has also skyrocketed. He's also getting some assists and things as well, which are helping. Regardless of how he does it, he has a good opportunity here, and he's been 4 straight over 5x on this slate. Looking at Donovan Mitchell, he's a contrarian option off of uh, Bronson if you would prefer, as he does have a super high ceiling. Now, his floor is a little bit lower in this matchup, as this is a bit of a slowdown game, but I do think it's okay. He's capable here, though he is kind of risky on the slate, but he's definitely a good alternative to Brunson if you prefer. Looking at Holmes for Dallas, now this is very contingent on him starting. He's played over 20 minutes, only a handful of games all season, but in those few games, he's been very good. He's only had a couple games that he played over. I think he has only had 1 game over 20 minutes against the Clippers where he didn't really do much. But his price is just dirt cheap today, and assuming he draws a start with Collins, or with Lively likely out, he's a great option here. I do like Sabonis today against the Bulls. He's been absolutely fantastic lately. He's hard to ignore, considering the fact that he's had so many good games in a row, with one exception. But he's been really solid, and he's definitely a good matchup. I'm not sure how to really fit him in today with the price point, but he's definitely a viable play if you can fit him. Looking at Trey Young, he's also been playing very well lately. He has a high ceiling. His floor has shown in a couple of games, but this is a good matchup for him. The Warriors are not playing great defense, and he's going to have a lot of opportunity to run in this game. Looking at Jalen Johnson for the Hawks as well, he's also had a nice boost lately, especially with Bay out. He's going to get more minutes, and he's been playing over 35 minutes most games. And so I do think he's a great option on the slate, and he's barely priced here. Chris Middleton has been surprisingly good lately. He's had 5 of the last 6 games over 5x. He's playing a full complement of minutes, and he's playing well. Whether it's assists or rebounds, he's getting some in each game, and that's boosting his fantasy potential here. He's a very good third option for this team, and he's playing like it. Looking at Josh Hart for the Knicks, he's also in play today, though he didn't have a good game against Indiana in the last game, but because he didn't shoot the ball well, but he still got double-digit rebounds, and he could get a double-double if he can get enough points. That's a concern here, but he's still priced pretty fairly, even though he's a little bit higher priced, but he's definitely got a good opportunity here to have a solid game. Isaiah Hartenstein is also in play today for the Knicks. His minutes will go up a little bit more to the last couple games due to Randall being out. He's been a little bit inconsistent lately, but he definitely has a high ceiling, and he's priced down some, so he's definitely worth a look here, though he does carry some upside. Looking at Alex Caruso for the Bulls, he's really played well the last few games, though he is a little bit overpriced here for this matchup. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but even so, he's still got some viable upside as if other guys get ruled out for the Bulls, then he would get a bigger boost. Trey Jones is a guy that I really thought about making a core play. The catch here is he's got one of the toughest matchups he's had in a while. And with that, he's been over 5x in 11 straight games at this price point. So he's definitely a great option here. He even had 30 fantasy points in the one game against Cleveland already. So he's a very good option, but he's definitely carrying some risk because he was pretty scoring dependent in that particular game. But he's playing well right now. It's hard to ignore. Kevin Huter is another guy that's nice and cheap today, and has been really good lately. But I still think that at some point the wheels could fall off this guy. But he's been over 5x in 7 of the last 9 games at this price point, so he's definitely somebody to consider, especially being a little bit underpriced based on that situation. Then we're going to look at Wimby for San Antonio. He's been over a 5x at this price point in 13 out of 14 games. I really thought about making him a core play as well, but again, the matchup here for the Spurs against Cleveland definitely draws some concern, even though he did score 54 points, fantasy points the last time, and he only played 24 minutes in that game. He still carries some risk in this matchup, as is one of the tougher ones. And then last but not least, we're going to look at Draymond Green here for the Warriors. Now, if Sarek is to come back, which he's doubtful, or questionable, I guess, at this point, but if he was to come back, that could definitely hurt Green and Kuminga a little bit. But I expect Kuminga to dominate the minutes, with Green being the secondary guy, and then Sarek being third, as Green has got some good opportunity here, but he could have a lower game than his price suggests. He's not as cheap as he was, so he's still interesting, but he's still difficult to roster today. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.